Hi, guys. I know this is sort of an unexpected broadcast, but I'm really excited to introduce Sandra Miarecki. Did I pronounce it right?
It's really close.
Close enough. Okay. My Polish isn't very good, but Sandra is from the Republic, and the White Hats reached out to her a couple of years ago and said that this organization called the Republic, which all my people are familiar with, the Organic Act. They know all about that.
Mhm.
So you'll be helping them understand that Sandra represents the the idea that we form our own government.
Mhm.
Kind of, it's so simple that it's almost hard, but I'll let you can speak much better to it than I. I'm also just because let's get the chat going. Hey, 11 Axtria. I also want to just say while I'm here that let me just put this on for commercial value. That if anybody is interested in upping their health, remember health is wealth. Please check in with LifeWave. Check in, become a partner. Join me in sharing this incredible light quantum product with the rest of the world. So, with that said, I'll leave that banner on just for a few minutes, and I'll give the floor to my friend Sandra.
All right, sir. Well, thank you. I just want to clarify a little bit. I got involved with the Republic in October of 2021, and this Republic has been reestablished. We call re-inhabited because it was abandoned by the Organic Act of 1871, and that occurred in November of 2010. So I got in about 2 years or so after. I'm sorry, 12 years. I can't do math. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to 11 years after they had actually reestablished the Republic. So I'm just the kind of the spokesman, of the Republic. I do a lot of podcasts on our behalf, and so I answer a lot of questions regarding these kinds of things. But I'm happy to be here. So um, a little bit about me. I'm actually retired Air Force. God put it on my heart to be a NASA astronaut from a very early age. That led me to overachieve at just about everything so I could make the resume, so I could get into college, so, et cetera. And found out that the best way to do that was to join the Air Force. So I became a pilot, eventually an instructor pilot and a test pilot, because NASA can be picky about who they hire. And at that point, they'd only hired test pilots to be pilot astronauts. So did all that and didn't quite make it because of some medical issues that they can be as picky as they want about that too, because there's no hospital in space. So that was what God needed me to do at the time. And so I pretty much jumped off that treadmill and went on a different one. Eventually had to retire at 20 because of health issues from all the vaccines that we take over our military careers. Now I know better. I will never take another one ever, ever again. So it's been, at every time since there, I've been trying to restore my health. I realized that I should probably take my skills and turn them into being a physics professor at the Air Force Academy. So went to Berkeley, got my PhD, and just as I was finishing, a job opens up. This is all God, I'm telling you, man. And I got the job, and I started teaching physics at the academy, and I'm there for about 4 years, and then COVID happens. Um, we all pretty much know what really happened, and I'm not going to go into too much detail since we don't have as much time as we would like. And so I was helping whoever wanted help with religious exemptions and what's the process. I knew the regulations. It's just something I was already into, and I got fired for it. So it's a long story. That's a whole other 2-hour podcast about what happened there. And so as I'm getting fired, I'm going, okay, God, I've done everything you've asked me. You've set this path before me. I've done all these things. What do you want me to do? And 2 random meetings of people from the Republic. I had no idea they were from the Republic until I started hearing these key issues to the Republic about maybe 8 months earlier. And wants me in the Republic. And so then I threw myself full into the organization when fired in September of 2022. I became the House of Representatives for Colorado, which is where, and because there was no one else here, I became the Texas governor. That's a job I didn't want. I would rather have just been nobody. But again, God. So
Sandra,
about
we're having a little,
4 months after
we're having
that,
some interference
the
issues. Is there something on your end, or is that like your face isn't clear and it's jumping around a little bit? Um, you're just using a regular laptop, or
yeah, regular laptop. It could be the internet connection. It does get messed with every once in a while. Gee, I wonder why the three-letter agencies would be unhappy about my message. But is it just the video, or is the audio also affected?
it's mostly the video, but it's interesting because the same thing happened
Okay.
before when were we talking about the Republic. We
Okay.
had similar issues, but yeah, just keep speaking. I mean, my friends and my
Yep. It's
family
okay.
are on. Okay, just yeah, I guess just keep going. I'm apologizing that it's not coming through better. It's video, yeah.
No worries. If they can hear me,
I
that's
guess
more important than
just go
seeing
ahead
me.
and at
So
least we'll have the audio.
yes, sir. It could also be my internet source. I don't know, but so that's pretty much how I got involved. I'll tell you now a little bit of the story of the actual Republic, which is what I learned in October of 2020, first time. Mutual friend introduced me to then the going out all about the things that I'm about to tell you.
Before you go into that, I just wanted to go back a bit. You
Go ahead,
said
sir.
that that
Mm-hmm.
they reached out to you in 2010. The White Hats reached out to you.
So I'm going to go back to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Okay.
back to that and give you the full story.
Great.
So the JFK time, the assassination, but a group of retired generals, probably some active duty generals as well, were how to save their country, especially since they just saw their own government kill their own president. We all know that it was the three-letter agencies that are up for debate anymore with the papers that they're trying to figure out what
It
to
was
do. They called them.
I'm sorry, Sandra. What was the word you used? It was you said who killed JFK. I got that it was a government. Then you used another word, the Erythea.
The three-letter agents and the mafia.
Uh-huh. The three-letter agencies. Okay. Who killed
The
JFK?
mafia.
The mafia, right.
So now the audio is being affected now too. Right. So, and that's pretty much because, so they call themselves the Army of Virginia. That's the same group. And they tried to come up with a plan over this period of time. About the 2008 December timeframe, just after Obama was elected. We all know that that wasn't a real election like any others that we have. It ended up, well, the White Hats said, we got to do something. So they already started to develop a plan. In fact, they had already recruited Trump to be the president sometime 2016-ish. And so they needed a republic as actually imploded on itself. There would be no lawful civil authority because the military would refuse to take over the government because of their oaths to the Constitution. They were not allowed to do that. So they needed the civil authority. So they approached a couple of patriot groups. Again, I was not part of it at the time, but it was called the Restore America Plan. And it was pretty much Constitution radio, teaching the people about their rights, back on solid ground, and how to lawfully avoid taxes, these kinds of things. And they white hats were watching. So they said, "Can you restore the
Sandra, we're really losing you.
Has their own story."
We're really losing you, and I think this is a very important conversation. I know my people are very excited about hearing about this. Can we do this another time? Like, I don't know what your internet, if it's your internet, but
Let
we
me try switching my internet. If you could
okay,
give me
great.
1 minute, let me try that, okay?
Okay. Fascinating information about, I mean, to really hear about the
Eli,
White
can you
Hat
hear me?
plan. I can hear you now.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yes.
All right. So I have two sources of internet for exactly this reason.
You so they watch you a lot.
Yes, they do. And that's okay because we watch them a lot too. So, where would you say I need to go back to?
Well, let's go back just because I find it very interesting, and
Mhm.
everyone here on the channel is really trying to. We're always trying to figure out what's really going on and what's movie, how much is from the black hats, how much is from the white hats, and what the truth is.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's go back to. We know about the Army of Virginia. We understand that after
Mhm.
JFK was assassinated, or I mean, there's some reports that it was a body double assassinated. I mean,
Yeah, we could
yeah,
go into that whole thing too, but yeah.
that's another. Okay, but you have information about all of that
Mhm.
firsthand.
Well, only from what they told us, and then what I was told from those people at that time. So I made sure I talked to these people specifically to get their story about what happened back in the 2008 timeframe, because that was when we were approached.
Okay,
Okay, our
so
group,
let me just recap briefly. So after JFK's assassination, whatever happened, I mean,
right?
effectively he was assassinated for the public eyes.
Hmm.
After his assassination by the government, by his own government,
Hmm.
essentially, this Army of Virginia decided to get together and try to retake the republic, right? Is no.
Well, they formed because they knew they had to do something to save the country. They didn't know what it was going to be at that point, but they knew that they had to do something, and so they started to organize. Again, this is what they told us and my best way of describing it. So we hope someday we actually find out the full truth on it, because this is a better than a movie. You know, of course, real life has a tendency to be that way.
Can I ask
So
you, was there any information about Majestic 12 being involved in this?
I have not heard those words, but very possible they just weren't told.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so now we're fast forwarding to the Army of Virginia knew they had to do something, everybody knows about the Organic Act of 1871,
mhm,
that the government was basically taken over by a bunch of banksters,
right.
and so and then in 2008 you were approached by the White Hats, right?
Mhm. Our group, yes.
Okay, so
And
take us
so
there. I
they
think
said, "Can you restore the republic?" That was their question, with the intent that should the corporation fail on its own before the White Hats were ready, or when the White Hats were ready, they would need the lawful civil authority as that kind of a gap filler before the actual elections that would then officially restore the republic. So that's what we are supposed to be. Well, we said we're going to try. And 2 years later, we held what would be the equivalent of a Continental Congress in Utah and signed a document called the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, which is kind of like a new Declaration of Independence, which reestablished the original republic because it had been abandoned but not abolished by the Organic Act. And we had done that research to make sure. So all we really needed to do was to reseat the empty seats. And so how do you do that? Well, the founding fathers warned us not to lose our republic, but they didn't say how to get it back if we actually lost it. So we had to, do our best to follow the law and the Constitution and the intent of the founding fathers. So we started with a grassroots approach, right? That makes sense. Go back to we the people, go back to the county level, get the counties organized and assembled, right? This is the Constitution. The people have the right to assemble. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And then the counties are the actual government. And then they give a few duties to the state. And then whatever the state can't handle, those even fewer duties go to the national level. That's it. And so the counties rule themselves for the most part under the umbrella of the national constitution. And then, of course, the state constitution, which every state has to ratify. And everything has to be in agreement with that original national constitution, the organic, original parchment paper in the archives, not the BS one that they say is our constitution that has the all caps name on it that doesn't exist. So that's the corporate version. Some people even argue that there's not two constitutions, but if you do a side by side, you'll see that some letters are not capitalized anymore in the new version. That changes the meaning. So they'll say, oh, that was so quaint about our founding fathers. Well, it's not just quaint, it's actual law. So that's how we got started. So after we started to get the counties assembled, of course, the counties, then you get enough of those together, they could form a state assembly. And that state assembly can now start appointing their governors, their House, their Secretary of State, et cetera, and kind of have a minimum manning at the state level. And then once that was accomplished, then this big meeting in Utah occurred where they had a quorum of states represented, and they unanimously, has that ever happened in this country, approved that Declaration of Sovereign Intent. And on November 14th of 2010, our republic was restored. Now, we are temporary, we are interim. And right now, we're not even in any positions. We are just on the sidelines waiting for the white hats to tell us it's time. Trump is also a part of that plan. He was recruited, probably the mid 1980s. That's how long ago these guys have been working. And they said, we don't know when, but eventually, Sir Trump, would you ever be the president? And, save your country. And, he didn't have to say yes. He's a freaking billionaire. What does he need? And so he said yes. And so he knew that he was in standby mode until, just like we are, till he called upon. And so 2015, probably, they said, it's time. We need you to run for president. He does his paperwork. He goes to the GOP convention, et cetera, and he gets elected. He actually reached out to our president, Jim Geiger, in the summer of 2016 while he was still campaigning, wanting to have a meeting, knew about us, was fully briefed on us by the White Hats. And the decision was made rather quickly that that meeting can't happen yet because his focus must be on getting elected. And if he would have been associated with us, and we've got all kinds of monikers like domestic terrorists and whatever else you want to say, right? Crazies, cult, all the stuff that they want to say because they're trying to get rid of us. Well, anyways, we got so strong and so organized and so popular that by the summer, I would say the spring of 2012, okay, so now it's only 3.5 years after we were approached, the 3-letter infiltration from Obama's administration came in to take us down. So they started to sow discontent and say, oh, we're doing it wrong. We have to do it this other way. And then people were leaving and all this other stuff was happening. Then they kidnapped the president at the time and put him through a kangaroo court and thinking that, you chop off the head and the republic dies. Well, that's not how it works now, is it? there's a line of succession. And so that's what happened. And we put a new president, in place. And the Republic continued. So it was not taken down. It was, we definitely took a hit. There's no question about that. But we've always been here. And all we've been doing is exactly the same thing I just said: settle the counties, get the states set up. We did all that, of course, in 2012. We had all 50 states had representation. Then the infiltration, and we were really, really hurt, but not destroyed. And now we're just trying to put the people back in those positions. We've got about probably 40 states with representation right now. So that's not the leftovers from 2012. We literally had all 50 states refilled again this past January, and we were infiltrated again. So it's just, if we were not authentic and a threat to them, why bother? Why would they even spend the time on trying to do something to us? Well, it's because we are the threat. We threaten the cabal. We're in their way. So that's how that went. And we just celebrated our 15th anniversary about a month ago now of having this republic restored. So when I hear people say, we have to save the republic, and I go, we already did. You just have to join. We did all the hard work already. And we're already working with the right people because they were the ones who asked us to do what we're doing. There's the story.
Amazing story. So I know before why am I having a block? Who's the woman I spoke to before?
Nancy Singletary.
Nancy. I don't know. I was having a little block, but I
That's
communicate
right.
with her all the time. But
Right. She's
okay,
currently our governor for Georgia in the
George.
Republic. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys have legitimized the republic, and then now you're waiting for. Besides the fact that you're having to struggle with all these infiltrations and such, at what point can you become more like more mainstream? At what time? At what point does President Trump reach out to you and introduce the world to the republic, and also what Nancy shared with us a web address where people could join the republic. So maybe you'll repeat that as well, just so everyone can reach out and join, because I mean the people who listen to our information stream are very interested in
Mm-hmm.
legitimizing our viewpoint,
Yep.
which is your viewpoint. You've really already legitimized it.
Right. Well, what happened after the first infiltration in 2012 was the most incredible shadow banning and blocking and censorship and losing YouTube and Facebook and channels and other. We could not get our word out to save ourselves. We were basically filling positions with cousins and friends and neighbors, and because it's like people we would trust, right? And we couldn't get the word out otherwise except person to person. So last year, summertime, they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on blocking us, and our message started to get out. And then it snowballed huge, like an avalanche. And we had thousands of people coming into this republic when we really only had about like 500 or so holding down the fort. And we went from having maybe 8-10 states that had some sort of representation to not even 8 months later, all 50 states having some sort of representation, and over half of them actually being full up and running. They had to take us down again. So they did, or tried to at least. And so we're rebuilding again. We've got all kinds of folks are coming in with all kinds of experience, from CEOs of their own businesses to high school teachers to CPAs to former nurses who quit during COVID. We've got the whole gamut, housewives, everybody. is hearing this message finally, because the message is starting to get out, and they can hear the truth in it, because this is a God's discernment test. I can only tell you what I know, and it's up to you and your own discernment to determine if I'm telling you the truth or not, and whether God wants you to do anything about it. I was called. God sent me here. I know that I'm doing exactly what he needs me to do. I don't know 100% where it's going or why or whatever. I have faith that we're doing it the right way. But we do speak with what I would say insiders. We aren't in direct contact yet with Trump and his team, but close enough that we get enough information for what we need. But imagine what would happen if Trump was to make even a 5-minute speech about this republic being already reestablished and that everyone should join. I don't think our website would survive.
Sandra, do you want to give me the information so my people can join?
Sure.
And I'll post that up here.
It's a very long website name, so we've got a short address that'll redirect you to it, and it's republicusa.org.
Republic for
Public, FORUSA.org.
My typing is not the best. USA.org.
Right. We should be .gov, but if we did that, we'd probably all get shot. So we're not doing that yet. We're waiting until we're actually called up, in which case we'll go from there.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the screen just so everyone can see it. It's Republic for. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, let me hide it. A little typo for USA.
Well, while you're doing that, let me tell you what our actual mission is. What did the White Hats ask us or tell us would happen? So they said, once the corporation is taken down, then this republic, in its interim status, would temporarily hold the seats of governor, secretary of state, president, etc., House, Senate. And our main priority is to hold free and fair elections, paper only, no machines. And then once did lawfully, the first republic election since 1860, by the way, then we would handshake, here you go, it's all yours. Now, we could be advisors and all that, but we're out. We have zero intent of holding these positions longer than necessary. So once we have that election, that'll be our job, of course, with a lot of help from the military. Once that's done, and we, all the states and counties and everyone verify and validate their elections, like it always happens, and then it has to be validated and verified by the Congress, which will be our Congress, right? Our House, Senate, like a January 6th, just like normally happens every year, except for that one year when it was a little bit screwed up. And then we hand off. So that date will be established. We will hand over all the papers, whatever it is that we've been working on and all of that. And those people are now the actual republic. And we were just the temporary holding the seats for those people to take over. And then, and only then, do we start rebuilding the country. Because in our interim status, I wasn't elected. Nancy wasn't elected. We're appointed. And so we do our best as is until we get to that election standpoint. We do what we can to keep the republic running. We call it the re-inhabited republic. So if you're ever looking for us on social media, look for the hashtag re-inhabited with re-inhabited or no dash. And those are our authentic social media channels. We've got several different ones. It's different names all over, so it would take too long to tell you. But just look for that hashtag and you'll find us. That's our mission, essentially. That's what we were told to do. So we bring the country back to December 19th of 1860. You're like, why that date? Well, that's the last time we can be pretty sure we had a healthy republic. And that's because it was the day before the first state seceded from the Union before the Civil War. That was South Carolina on December 20th. So if we bring this country back to the starting point only, this is what we offer the American people. We go back to that date as closely as we possibly can. Now, obviously, the FAA didn't exist back then, but I personally don't want planes falling out of the sky. So we're going to keep the FAA for a little while, okay, till we figure out what to do with that. But all those other things, Department of Education, CDC, NIH, they don't exist in the government of 1860. They have no authority. They have no congressional mandate. They have no charter, nothing, because it came after December 19th of 1860. That's where we start. And then everything builds from there. What do we want to bring back, etc. Now, someone's going to say, oh, well, wait a minute. What about freeing the slaves and all of that? Well, in our founding documents, we have two: the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, which I told you was signed in November of 2010, and another one called the Proclamation of Claim and Interest, which is what it sounds like. We are claiming the property, land, air, animals, plants, water, of America, and holding it in trust for the American people for when they want it back. They just have to sign up and show that they are interested in supporting the Republic and saving their country. So that's what we're waiting for. In the meantime, we keep filling those empty positions. People come in, we interview them, we vet them, we do background checks, all the regular stuff that you would do, and teach them how to be Republic representatives. So that's our job. That's our mission. That's our whole enchilada, as they say.
Is there a certain number that have to be right? Yeah. What is the number that you're looking for?
So we've never been told by the White Hats, you must have this number. So we can assume they want a quorum minimum. I would think they would want at least all 50 states represented, if not fully, at least partially. So let's say a governor and a secretary of state, maybe a House and a senator. That's like half of what you would need at the normal full up state representatives. I think if we could do that in all 50 states, they would consider us ready. So we had that. Now we don't. We're rebuilding it. We'll be there eventually. So.
Right, because they infiltrated. So, but what I'm asking is, like, is there a certain amount of a number of people that need to be involved in the Republic, that need to be registered in the Republic in order for this to go forward?
We definitely have to have awareness, of what we're doing and support for what we're doing. There's a very important document called the Northwest Ordinance. That was from 1787. Now realize our Constitution was 1789, so it's not constitutional. But what the Founding Fathers did, they realized how important that document was, and they brought it forward under the Constitution as something called 1 Statute 50. Completely lawful and constitutional law. And what that does, the combination of those two, is they give us a checklist for how to take an area of land and make it a territory, and then how to make that territory into a state. And so we're using that as a guide as best as we can, because that's the only thing we could find that would say, how do you reestablish a republic? Well, at least this is how you establish a state. In there it says 30,000, I think it's inhabitants. I don't think it's electors. So it's not adults necessarily. But that makes sense, right? 30,000 per state that are fully aware of us, registered, signed up, whatever, as electors. That would probably be enough. And right now we have about 15,000 in the whole country. So we're pretty much short.
Right.
And people, it doesn't cost anything, guys. This is your government. I know it's like, that's not a good word these days, but this is we the people. And you don't pay a membership fee to be in your own government. That's not what we're about. So that's just sign up. Literally, just go to that website. It'll take you. You just hit the tab register. And if you would like to volunteer to be a House representative or a senator or something like that, you can click, yes, I'd like to volunteer to fill an open seat. And you'll talk to your governor. and you'll see what happens. What positions are open? What's a good fit for you and your experience? And so that's how we have been doing it ever since we started in 2008.
Amazing story, amazing information. Do you guys have any? I know. Let me ask you this: Does this have an association with NESARA?
So NESARA was passed by the corporate president. I think it's Clinton, actually. I was told by the insiders when I was asking them questions about on the financial side, they told me that 95% of what you read about online about NESARA is wrong. So the real NESARA is not very well publicized, and what's going to happen and all the rest of that. One of my insiders that I was talking to routinely about these kinds of questions, because I was learning as well, when I started to ask him questions about NESARA, he said, I can't answer any more questions. And I said, so that means that your NDA has taken effect? And he said, yes, which meant NESARA had already started. Now, what does that mean? There's multiple phases to implementation of NESARA. And something had happened that now made that a topic he could no longer talk about because it was hypothetical before. Now he was under an NDA. So I was very careful with how I would ask my questions. I would say, hypothetically, once NESARA, it comes around, once this happens, would this be the next step? And then he could say yes or no, because it's hypothetical. So we were still able to communicate. But yes, it is a part of the overall plan. Once this republic is restored, I was told by my insiders that almost simultaneously, the republic will be stood up, NESARA will be implemented, probably just SARA for the globe, all over, global, not too long after that. And a massive training program to get the people, especially of America, but of course all over the world, to comprehend what has been done to them all this time that they had no clue about. So.
Could you hold on 1 second? I just have to plug in. My power is going down. I wasn't. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, sir. This is live.
I don't want to lose power. I've done it before, but it's not pretty. Got this.
That actually happened to me on another podcast once. I had it all set up to plug in and it never got plugged in. It was just laying there on the floor. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. As I'm seeing you're down to 10%. I'm like, what? So anyway, yeah. Podcast. Plug in.
I've been broadcasting like 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day for many years, and I've gone through every mistake you can imagine, probably multiple times. But it's just a fascinating story. People are saying like when, but are you saying that when enough people? I mean, this is really seems to me the bottom line here. Everyone wants to know when, and there are a lot of people online who are very, very willing to give dates. They're saying, "Oh, it's happening next Tuesday. It's happening
or Friday, I know.
Right.
And it doesn't happen, but they don't apologize,
and people get really upset. So, what I think we're saying is that it makes it beautiful when it's live. Yeah. What I think, what you're saying is that when enough people are awake, it will be happening.
It'll happen on its own. Yeah. The white hats, I am 100% sure. I can't be 100%. I'm a scientist. 99% sure that the white hats have a very sophisticated AI and have for many years. They say AI is up and coming. I'm like, no, they've had it for a long time because they're having it chew on these different possibilities and whatever. And who's monitoring social media? There's got to be like this octopus plugged into all the Telegram and Signal and, everything. And I kind of see this little challenge go on every once in a while where one and only one podcaster will bring up this one little fact And I'll go, why aren't the other podcasters picking up on that? That's a really big deal. And then I realized that they're all following orders. This is all part of the same movie. We have to wake everybody up, how to wake up the woke, right? And so we're trying to do that. And we're also at the same time trying to motivate the folks that are awake, for the most part, to do something. Because we have a lot of people who will sign up on the website, but when we reach out to them and say, would you consider, working in your county? Silence. So the awakening is happening, but it's not in its mature stages yet. And that has to happen before the white hats will act. Are they already taking action? Oh yeah, 100%. We see it every day, right? We see Trump making announcements. We see him just saying something random, it seems like, and just seeing what the reaction is, because the AI is going tick, 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 tick to see if everybody's on the path, right? Because there's like a special path. And if it's like it didn't go the way they thought, then they back up and go, whoops, 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 we're not there yet. We got to do okay, AI, what should we do next? Okay, these are your 3 options. Let me chew on it. Okay, B is the best. I think this is how it's working, guys, because I cannot imagine 1 or 2 people trying to keep track of all of this stuff. So they know what's going to happen. They know what the sequence is. They know what has to happen first, second, third. They have to know what are the little things that have to happen before the big things. And we're just waiting. We have not changed anything that we're doing here in the Republic. We are trying to be as prepared as we can. If they call us tomorrow and say it's going to happen Friday or, whatever, we have to be ready. So we are doing our best to do that every day. And a lot of training, a lot of learning. We have training calls. We have, of course, the House and the Senate calls, the governor's calls. We are all helping each other. And it's like one big family. It really is cool because I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that can relate to this statement. And that is, I'm the only one in my family that's awake. Everyone else is so sleepy. I don't have anyone to talk to. Come on into the Republic. Here's your family. These are your peeps. We're ready to have you in. And you'll have a lot of fun just talking to these people because they all are on the same page as you are. So there's that.
That is so beautiful. It's such an honor. One thing I want to go back to, just as a podcaster, you were saying that if one podcaster comes out with a point that is very important for all the podcasters, that it's not shared, that it's just
right. Because they need to have a controlled audience to see how many people pass it on, how many thumbs up, how many thumbs down, and all of that to see, is that group on track to follow this path that's laid out? Or did it go completely south? They're like, oh my gosh, that was not the expected result, right? We didn't expect that kind of response. We better go back and do something else. So I think that's kind of like these little, like dropping a pebble, boink, yep, there's still water there kind of thing, and seeing where the people are and making sure that the people are on track. So I think they do that like a little microcosm, so it doesn't go like explode, because if you have, let's say 10,000 people, patriots, and then they can track that across all of the other platforms and see how fast it spreads and how many likes and all of that. That's way better as in terms of controlled experiment to see, are the people on track? And where does it stop, right? Does it keep going? Is it spreading like wildfire? And if it is, they're going, okay, we're on track, And I think that's what they do. I think that's the AI also helping them to track that. I cannot see how else they can be doing this. So,
do you think they're using, we've heard a little bit about the looking glass technology. Do you think they're using?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're talking about alien tech here, if that's what they have, or if it's just the people who are insiders who look at this thing and think that it has to be alien tech because it was so advanced, but yet probably what it was just AI from 25, 30 years ago that would look like it's a miracle worker. Honestly, I don't care, because they've got something like that and they're using it to help what we're doing. So hopefully we find out if it's alien tech or if it's just good old American know-how. I don't know, but they have to have something like that. Have to.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Well, to your health and to the success of the Republic.
Thank you, sir.
Recently, my partner and I discovered putting cayenne pepper in your coffee. It definitely makes for a very
Interesting.
spicy, yeah. And so I'm a little bit. She put a lot in it in this cup, but
Oh,
it's a great pleasure to meet you, and this really validates a lot of the things that I think we've been grappling with in this.
bless you.
Excuse me, cayenne pepper.
Yep.
It grappling with in terms of what we really see on our in our or what I think we see is that there are a lot of individual things that seem
Hmm.
to be taking place, but if you weave it all together, you get a much more
Right.
holistic idea of what's going on. But this is huge. So you guys are in place in
Hmm.
when enough people are awake and have joined the Republic and have filled all the different states and all the different slots in all 50 states. You're here to conduct the election, which is from like I don't know if I really know the real Jassara or not, but I know that the initial understanding is that when Jassara is announced, we will have 120 days to have elections. So I assume that at that point, you will become more public. And at that point, the evil ones who are infiltrating, and I mean I've also dealt with a lot of cancellation and losing. I lost my career and everything else,
Hmm.
but that's just part. I would I do it any differently? No, I there's no way I wanted to get vaxxed, and there was no way I was not going to talk about it either. So we've been struggling. That's why anyway it's all part of our mission, but
Hmm.
hopefully, do you guys have any real questions? Absolutely correct. They asked in YouTube. Am I not getting it? I have the general chat. I didn't know what the technical terms for the gathering of data, sifting and responding through filters and tabulating results. Right. The guess is absolutely correct. That's Sandra. And when I say this, because I have a degree in mass communication and I have a notion that this was happening. Right. I have two daughters. They're 20 and 22 years old. I made sure they support the same presidential Kensha as the writers. Okay. Yes, yes. Kentucky here. Okay. So I would say for us, hopefully you'll come back. We would love
I'd
to
be
do
happy
this
to.
more frequently, and we
Mhm.
really need to because my complaint is always that it you have to act. It's not enough for us to think about it and make dates and try to figure out what is real and what is right. There has to be an action taken, and that's for my studies, the manifestation process really involves uh, doing stuff like we're building a house outside. I mean, it was nice to buy a piece of land, but to actually get to build a house took us a lot of manifestation steps. It took us a long time, but
Yeah.
the for me the key is to take action. Is to, like, for me, I couldn't afford the lumber, so I started buying lumber for just I'd buy a
Yeah.
piece here and I'd buy it's a half off here, is a little bent, I'd buy it, and then it sort of snowballed, and then a guy offered me like truckloads of lumber that were all crooked and stuff. But I was like, yeah, let's. But that the manifestation involves action. So if
Hmm.
if we reach out, and let me put up the spot on brilliant. Thank you, thank you. I just caught the tail end of this. I'll rewatch and share. We use hot pepper in our coffee too. Okay, let me just again share this.
The website link.
The website, right. So you
Yeah.
can go to republicforusa.org and register. I did that when I talked to Nancy, after I talked to Nancy, but uh, keep us in the loop. If you want to send other people, if you want, whatever we can do to help, we as a community, I speak for the community, is we're definitely in, because this is not just podcasting, and like people are saying, like, well, that yesterday I got a thing that a certain podcaster got 50,000 hits for saying this. I'm like, we're not about that. We try to be authentic. We try to, like, figure out what's really going on. We don't really sweat the details so much. We try to look at the big picture. We try to do our own. It's kind of like that AI thing. We try to sift through the information and try to figure out what's really happening. So
Mhm.
we really appreciate your information, and hopefully you'll come back soon.
I would be happy to. And I want to reach out to any of your visitors that are younger, let's say. We really, really, really we are trying to reach the younger people. You guys have a valuable amount of information and energy and ideas, and we just haven't figured out how to do that yet. We tried Turning Point USA and pretty much got shut down. So reach out to us. Tell us if you've got ideas for how to reach out to the younger folk. We are happy to hear them. So you can contact us through that website, and there's an email address, I believe, also on there for you to go direct. So thank you so much for having me on, us, the Youth Republic. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to get to hear you in person, and God willing, we'll speak to you soon.
All right. Take care.